What's going on, everybody? What is going on? I hope that everybody is feeling well and doing amazing. I'm feeling amazing. Okay, so listen, um, a lot of people want your spotlight. A lot of people, and again, this is not just to, talk mess, but a lot of people want your spotlight. Okay, they want your spotlight. They want to be you, and they want everything that you have, the exact things that you have. They want it for themselves. Okay, so a lot of people, they want your spotlight. They don't want to change for for the better for themselves because they want to be you. They having a hard time changing and growing further in life because they too busy watching you, trying to do everything you do to be you. They trying to be just like you. And they really want to be you. They want everything that you have, exactly everything that you have. And this is not to put fear in people. You still go out, have a good time, but you got to be careful with people. When you notice certain people are copying certain things, because, I feel like it's one thing to be, inspired, right? It's one thing to be inspired. Um, you know, it's another thing to be inspired by somebody, right? Because at the end of the day, you are an example, but I think where people have to draw the line at is you should never want to covet or envy what somebody else has. People always say, comparison is the thief of joy, and it is because you're never going to be happy. You're going to always be feeling in lack. You're never going to get the fulfillment of life that your heart truly desires because you're always looking at somebody else's plate. They're always looking at what you have, what God is doing for you, or what you're doing to get to where you need to be. But the thing about it is they don't realize that everybody's life is different. And see, when people have to be careful, you know, copying you and copying other people, because I don't know if y'all, who's watching me, if y'all realize that, I heard about it, and I also, known for myself, I seen it. But like when you copy certain people, people try to destiny swap, and I talk about it a lot without actually realizing it. You have some dark people that really do practice this stuff. People are just out in the open with it now. But when you copy somebody, and you try to really destiny swap somebody in life, life is going to think that, okay, you want to be this person so bad, you want to be him so bad, or you want to be her so bad, that they start getting the bad stuff that you have to go through in life. And not saying that, the bad stuff, because you have to go through it to get to it. But it's kind of like life is giving people, a dose of some of the things you have to probably go through or endure, because it's like they got to walk a mile in your shoes first, right? This was not, your growth and your improvement and your elevation in life. It was not an overnight thing, right? God is working on us every single day, and like starting a business, it takes time. And not only does it take time, it takes consistency. It takes some things not working out just for something else to work out, out with the old and with the new, any kind of elevation in life and any kind of growth in life, the improvement it's going to be a process before it gets to the progress, of prosperity, right? Of actually prospering, but the thing about it is one thing to be, inspired by somebody, like, oh, okay, I like that business idea, but a lot of people lose themselves trying to keep up with you. They can't keep up with you. And they lose themselves, and they lose their identity, and you probably witnessed, they lose themselves missing out. You can see that they're missing out on the things, the important things that they have to take care of in their life because they're too busy watching you. They're too busy, comparing themselves to you and what you have and coveting what you have and want the exact thing that you have. And it's like people have to be grateful for the life that they have. It's not like one person can get something and someone else can't get it. It's just a matter of you putting in the work, you putting in the time, you waking up early. You walk the miles that you walked in your shoes, just like how they walk the miles that they walked in their shoes. And if you're watching me right now, you don't want what anyone else has. You probably admire, you can admire and be inspired, like, wow, okay, I like those shoes, or, whatever the case may be, but you're not insecure or lost in your identity, or not happy with the life that you have, or not happy with yourself to the point where it is one thing, okay, yeah, I like them sneakers, versus you about to run out of breath, okay, trying to run a Foot Locker, get the same pair. Like people that want to try to beat you, but they want to beat you, in your own game. They want to beat you at being you before you get to it. And for people like that, that's a very, very bad mindset to have. That's a very, very negative, not only negative, but a very, very malicious, dark, jealous, being jealous. And that's actually being envious, right? Being envious, because people went as far as, being dark and destiny swapping and, trying to sabotage other people, not realizing that, what you put into the world, that's going to come back. That's going to come back. Whatever kind of intentions you have, that's going to come back. And people think that, when they come to you, or when they come to people, with the wrong intentions, okay, they think that life don't know, or God don't know the intentions. They think that life don't know the intentions, and that's why it blocks their blessings. Like comparison being the thief of joy. You can't focus on the joy that you have right now, or the joy that's in your life, or because you're too busy not being grateful for what you have. How can God, or how can life give you more if you're not thankful for what you have? You're too busy being ungrateful or being overwhelmed for already what's on your plate. If they even know what's on their plate, they're not paying attention. They're not paying attention to their life and what they got to focus on, because they're too busy paying attention and focusing completely on you. Again, they don't want to change for the better of themselves. They're so fixated and fascinated and obsessed with wanting your spotlight, wanting to be you, wanting others to admire them like how others admire you. And these are not great people that you want to be around in your circle. These are people that, you really have to keep from a distance, because, not to be negative, but these are snakes. A lot of people's jealousy, it stops them from getting to their fullest potential in life, or where they really want to be. Because that bad spirit, that negative spirit, that darkness, there's nothing positive that's going to come back. Everything they're getting is dark, because that's what they're putting out. That's what they're praying out into the world. So that's what they receive. It's very, very simple. Like how we all treat people, how we want others to treat us. And even when people don't treat us how we want to be treated, we know not to stoop down to people's level, because energy can transfer, negativity can jump on you, and when you stoop down to people's level, you're not being slow to anger and wrath. Okay, you lose your peace. You lose your focus. You're in the enemy's territory now, right? You're in a negative state. You're in the anger state. You don't know what's going on. People forgot, when they're in that jealous state, their envious state, all they want is very, very dangerous, because all they want is what you have. All they want is what you got. You realize there are people like that, and it messed up relationships, friendships. People could have had a really good thing with you, but they messed it up. Not only with the bad intentions, but wanting everything that you have. And the thing about it is, it's not going to work out, because everybody's life is different. And here it is, you're praying, good things for this person. You genuinely, are genuine towards this person, and have good intentions, and you probably tried to really support this person until you realize that was your worst demise. That was your downfall, trying to support this person, because you cannot change people. A lot of times people don't want to change. They want to be you. And you know what? There's nothing you can do. God has to work on people's heart, because they say jealousy is as cruel as the grave. You have to continue, being happy, being in your purpose, going higher in life. And not that it's about materialistic things and success and goals, yes, but you're having solitude, you're having a peace of mind. You're getting rest. You're being nice to people. I mean, you're living a whole different lifestyle. Pay attention to how some of these people, how they talk to other people. Maybe you had a friend or an encounter with somebody, and the first time meeting them, energy doesn't lie. So you kind of fell off. And then that second time, you realize y'all are not the same people. These people are jealous. These people really need to work on their heart. And the thing about it is, you don't have to have the fanciest cars or the biggest house, for someone to be jealous of you. A lot of people want your exact personality. You wonder why people want to copy your mannerisms down to the T. They want to walk how you walk. They want to talk how you talk. People get jealous of other people's marriages. Maybe if you're watching me right now, you're not married. People think you're married because the way you carry yourself, you carry yourself like you could be somebody's husband or somebody's wife, but you just have manners and you care about how you present yourself to the world, and not just physically, but just spiritually. You're very wise, and you're a genuine person. You bear fresh fruit. But, what somebody else has and what you don't have, not only you have a mindset of it's a whole lot that, you can go get, happiness is not minimized. It's not like there's only a certain amount of happiness. It's a matter of you going and getting it. But but see, when you see, part of you not being jealous is when you're quick to admire things. Like, when you see something you like, oh, that's nice, or, that's a nice car, or that's a nice business idea, but you know who you are. Your life is your life. Your goals is your goals. So you're not trying to rush to be like someone else, right? A lot of people get insecure when they get around you. So they got to try to rush and be you, or they got to try to rush and copy you, because immediately You intimidate people and you make them feel small. You make them feel insecure. You're able to admire people and you're able to continue going on with your life as if, that whatever that particular thing was, it wasn't there in the first place, because you're actually happy and at peace and content within your life. And you know that everybody has different directions and different paths, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you can't admire and be inspired, but you're you and other people are other people. But people don't think that way. People's heart is not where it needs to be. Everyone is not getting blessed like you. Everybody is not doing big moves like you. Everyone is not changing for the better like you. Everyone is not living their dreams like you. Everybody is not. People get jealous because your happiness, the way you laugh, the way you make others laugh. And earlier I was talking about marriages. You're maybe, just because you're not married, that don't mean you don't wish happiness and wish the best for other people's marriages. Y'all ever go on, I stopped going on social media so much. There's so much confusion. You got to be careful on what you watch, because somebody's always negative. Always praying down on, just always hating and praying down on something or somebody else that they feel like they're lacking in. Like, you may not be married, but it's not going to stop you from wishing the best in other people's marriages. It's not going to stop you from being happy and clapping and congratulating other people. You may be single, living a time of your life right now, right? But you still wish the best for other relationships. You're not out here trying to be a home wrecker and trying to break other people, because you're not broken. Despite people that tried to break you and tried to break you and leave you broken, you did not let that define who you are. You motivate yourself, you build yourself up, you build your confidence, you're in your energy, you know who you are now as a woman, as a man. It feels amazing. You enjoy, times being alone, just learning yourself and stuff like that. And if you are going to be in a relationship, or if you are going to be in a friendship, you've had it all, and now you have discernment, and and you're paying attention to these things. A lot of times it's not you, but it's other people. Maybe you felt, people don't realize, you can feel other people's energy. Like they say, energy, it never lies. People don't realize, and not that you sit back and study people and observe people, and it ain't like people are living rent free in your head, because you realize you can't change people. You cannot stop someone from being jealous of you. And when someone is showing you signs that they want to be you, it's best to really keep your distance from these people. Still love your enemies. Still love them from a distance. But people who have nothing to lose will help you lose everything. Whatever they feel like they're lacking in, they're going to want you to lack in. They're going to want you to minimize yourself. They're going to want you to water yourself down, because, again, you are the light that is surrounded by darkness. And to them, you make them feel small. You make them feel insecure. You're standing out too much. And the thing about it is, people envy how you stand out without even trying, because your aura stands out. Your heart stands out. Your intentions stand out. And everything is pure. I had a dream the other day, and it was like the Holy Spirit. It was like this white horse in the sky. And then it was like the tail was like this rainbow. And white symbolizes, purity and new beginnings. And you wonder why people meet you. They tell you all their business, because they feel that wholesome, that genuineness on you. When y'all first meet, even the most wicked people, they know that, you mean no harm. But that's when everybody don't have good intentions. That's when, the blessing of discernment comes in handy. And even though you smile and it may seem like you're out and about, and you're happy, you're kind, but it doesn't mean that you're overly nice, to be taken advantage of. You feel these things, these things on people. It is not that you're being socially distanced or an introvert, but certain energies that people carry, certain spirits people carry on them, and you don't want that rubbing off on you. You don't want all that in your house. You don't want all that on your clothes. You don't want all of that on your body, or you don't want all of that in your car, or all of that in your space, because you can feel tension. So a lot of times people can do the work and change, but it's a lot of work that needs to be done on the heart, the intentions. Because see, I understood that in life, you have to have like good intentions. Sometimes when your intentions aren't in the right place, you ever notice how it doesn't work out? But when your intentions are in the right place, and not saying people are bad people, but when the intentions are in a better place, things tend to work out more. That's why people don't realize that when they're negative, they wonder why things backfire. Misery is always wanting company. Not saying that people should just be alone, and being alone is the only good thing or it's a bad thing. But if you're watching me, it's a choice for you. You choose or not, it's a choice for you. A lot of people, it's not a choice. See, you're like, not only are you so pure and your energy is so contagious and just loving and genuine, and it's magnetic, again, you're the light. And so you attract both light and dark. So everyone's going to want to cling with you. Everyone's going to want to hang out with you. They're going to want to see what you're about. And then when they see what you're about and what you have, and not just materialistically, but they see your personality, they see how easygoing you are, how down to earth you are. They see how easily, you just socialize with people because, you don't judge people. You're down to earth. You're easy to talk to. People love to talk to you, and that's why a lot of times, you gotta, you choose a peace of mind over people because, you can't be drained and you need your energy. And people want to have that hold that you have, they want that hold on their lives. They have so much work to do, and we all have work to do. So, we don't, I don't, judge, but, just noticing these things, all they want to do is be you. All they want is what you want. Right now, where they're at right now, mentally where they're at, where their heart is at, they want what you have. They want to be just like you. If they can't cling on to you, they want to be just like you, and they really want to be you. And some people, they go to dark measures to achieve these things. They're going through chaos, havoc, because a lot of that darkness and all that spirit stuff, that stuff backfires. People don't know what they're inviting in their life. And that's why at the end of the day, it's good to just be, you can never go wrong with being honest. You can never go wrong with being real. It's okay to be alone so you have time to isolate and change and learn who you are. A lot of people, they need to do that because they're always around people and wanting to blame other people for their problems. They have a lot of healing and inner work to do, and God is working on us every single day. But these people can be detrimental to your health, your mental health, because that's the mental state that they're in. So they don't have no self-love. They don't care about themselves, their life, their future. You're their future. And some of y'all have people that were obsessed with you. You don't want someone to be obsessed with you. That's not love. You don't want someone to be envious of you and jealous of you. And some people, they want to be you, and they will do whatever kind of measures to take your position. Getting certain people fired at the job, trying to be a home wrecker, trying to tell people lies in a relationship because maybe you a man and they want your woman, or you a woman and they want your man. People get jealous of other people's kids, or the way you take care of your kids. Or they get jealous of the way that you just handle your responsibilities. They get jealous because, you have balance in your life. People get jealous because, you go to work and you go to work, you do what you have to do, and you're not in. People get jealous because you're not in drama. They don't know why they're always in drama, why they're always in mess, because, you don't have a spirit of confusion on you. See, when you're jealous of other people, hating other people, and going to the measures of trying to stop other people's relationships and trying to sabotage you and mentally torture you by projecting fears and insecurities, because in their mind, I see him going far. I see her going far. I don't want him to go nowhere. I don't want her to go nowhere. I don't want their marriage to prosper. I don't want their relationship to prosper. I don't want them to graduate. People speak witchcraft and spells. Let me project my insecurities onto you, so that way you feel like me. That way you feel like them. You feel in lack and below and insecure like them. Mind games, manipulation games. All that torture that they're spewing out and putting out, all that is going to come right back to them. I can tell people, karma is real. And everyone can sit up here and act like it's not, but we've all gotten karma. But you're learning from it, and you're not allowing it to rack up, and that's why you're happy. You're getting your desires in life. You're getting blessed. You're moving forward. Because honestly, you're putting in the work, and you're focused on in your life and what's best for you. Not saying you're selfish. Not saying you're mean to other people. If you're watching me, you're very, very sweet to other people. You're very, very, respectable and have manners with other people. But you have discernment, and that discernment will give you an idea of how people feel about you, their intentions towards you. And that can be, and intuitively, that could be a positive thing, or that could be a negative thing. You feel how you feel. Some people, you get around them, you feel positive, you feel energetic. They're similar to you in their own way. Other people, you feel tired. You feel discouraged because they feel discouraged. People don't realize you can sense how they feel, and you can feel their overwhelmness. You can feel them, their body language. They're always sighing, always rushing. Just the tonality of people's voice. They're always being angry, aggressive. You can feel that tension. And it can be uncomfortable for you. And you don't run away from your fears, but you know what's for you and what's not for you. So you refuse to have that in your life. So I love you all so, 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 so much. Continue to have a great day. Continue to speak highly of yourself. Stay positive. Always stay positive in a negative situation. You're going to always win. Continue to not stoop down to people's level, because a lot of times these people, they just want to get a reaction out of you. They know they're committed to misunderstanding you. They want to get a reaction out of you. And then you end up being upset because you knew you shouldn't have gave them a reaction. You knew you should have held your peace. And for a second, it may still sting. But once you just do what you need to do and be in your own space, because that's what really matters right now. Right now, people are not your assignment anymore. They had all the time in your life. They blew it. They wasted it. Okay, being jealous, being a hater, sabotaging you, just acting funny, just being strange and argumentative, and the gaslighting and the manipulation and all that. That's how, and all you did was love these people. But that's what they poured into you. Okay, so now you're in your own space, you're doing what you have to do. Okay, everyone is not always against you. Okay, and even those that are against you, a lot of times people feel good knowing someone like you who always seems poised and put together. People get jealous because, to them, they get jealous of how put together you are, how clean you are. People, they watch your every move. You got to pay attention to people that watch everything you do. You'll notice. You'll notice, seriously. I was about to go off the video, but you'll notice people watch every little single thing that you do. People that watch every little single thing that you do, or they watch every little single thing people do, why are you watching somebody so much? And like they watching to see if you're gonna fail, because they watching you and all the good stuff you're doing. They want to point out a flaw, and they want you to know that they're watching you. Like, you didn't do this, or you didn't do that. I'm going to beat you before you beat you. That's their mindset. That's not a good mindset for them to have. And they've been feeling like this and living like this for a very long time. And that's why you don't see no growth, no improvement. The only temporary improvement you see is when they copying you. And then they watch from the sidelines. They watch you progress and you go higher. And they wonder why they're feeling stuck. And I'm praying for these people. That is not a good mindset to have. That is not a great way to be. And that's why when you were around these people, your life was not taken off. You are not feeling your happiness. They watch every little thing you do. Making little comments on every little thing that you do, and you'll sit and you'll think like, you're not crazy. Wow, they must be watching me very, very hard. They noticed that. Or they watching that. And that's the divine message. Now you know who's watching you. And it's not to go crazy, but somebody's always watching us. But you have people that really want to be you, that really see. We not sitting back and studying people. When you want to date with somebody or you're talking to somebody, it's not like you're having an interview and you're sitting back just checking off things and you're studying people and you're trying to study every people move. No, people are not living rent-free in your head. But that discernment, naturally, you're being cautious of your surroundings and, just the awareness of people. So you'll notice certain red flags. You'll notice certain things. But the people that just sit back and watch every little thing that you do, those are the ones that want to be just like you. They study every little thing that you do and see they could change and be where you're at or higher if they put that's a lot of energy. People, all that energy, all that study into their own tests, into their own life. Because see, what's working out for you, it's not going to work out for other people. There's no such thing as that. There's no such thing as destiny swapping. All that does for people is bring in bad negativity. It's the enemy. He's a deceiver. He's making these people think that is working, and then they resent you and they want to lash out at you. That's why they lash out, because it's not working. They don't want to believe in themselves. They don't want you to believe in yourself. They want to keep on believing into the enemy, and he just keeps on tricking them. And that's why misery loves company. They're not really where they want to be in life. So I'm going to let y'all go. Enjoy the rest of your day. It is a beautiful day today. Okay? And I'll see you all next time. Bye.